What's up? Being in a fandom like 40k really does make me forget the main core aspects of the setting. One of which that I've haven't really touched up upon in a while is the concept of more fantastical medieval, much older pre 20th century technology, customs, and such, just being transformed and kind of blending in with the sci-fi settings. And I totally understand if I were to introduce this to someone, they would not believe me. Like if I were to show someone a 40k artwork and I'll say to them that it's from the future, they'll be like,
Stop the cap.
so I totally get it. One faction that I think really does it well is Imperial Knights. Now, there are a lot of knights in this setting. I know medieval fantasy, you get a lot of that, and being galaxy wide, it does, share a lot of diversity. But when people majority think of knights, they mostly think of the knight warrior monks via the space marines. And while they are pretty cool, like I would love to be pimped out in the freshest drip, there is something that holds more closer to that title of full feudal knight, not just in looks and aesthetic but also history. Now, I will not lie, as a big super fan of this faction, I haven't read a single book.
I want this nigga hard on jumper cake.
So I will be, after this video, I will be skinned alive by every other niche, smaller faction fandom. Pray be luck. To get on topic and to the point, Knights have an already established lore and aesthetic when it comes to their mega armored forces, though not much is really shown about their household guard, which serve right under them, except for these two artworks. So I wanted to draw them for myself based on the vibe that this minor faction gives off, and certain excerpts and evidence that's like shown in lore titles or books or any short story that kind of mentions them, Well, without further ado, let's get straight to it. So I begin with searching for some references, like how some people look for a justifiable reason for liking the Marines malevolent other than the fact that they are cartoonishly evil. Like for what? Because they're actually the most moral chapter?
Shut your lame ass.
As you can see by the reference here, I've gathered me a collection of knights and a lot of man-at-arms, while also combining some 40k aesthetics, as you can see by that one art down there. This was very helpful for multiple reasons, not only for the fact that I can get my ideas across much more clearly, but so people don't react with this image. With these two baldies established, we finally got ourselves a base to work with. For the first guy, I decided to give him a Quidius to show the village harlot that he has shillings to his name. I also gave him a kettle hat because, that's the ultimate sign of a levy. The most important part that I wanted to show off in this character is the weapon that he's holding. He has this proto hand laser, trying to make things explode type shit. Here's the example. Here's the examples of the weapons that I took inspiration from. The idea of, instead of black powder ignition, it's a laser emitter and like a discharge pack. I feel like it perfectly encapsulates like the vibe I'm going for. Even after all the success of this design, I feel like there is one problem missing, and you'll see it over here while I'm actually doing the drawing process itself. There's gotta be one way to kind of give off the idea that they're Imperial, because this just looks like Warhammer Fantasy character, bro. To solve this similarly to how the God Emperor solved the heresy, I slapped an quill on the design and let it fly. Now I begin working on this straight cone head of a man with this quadruple straight ass forehead. Alright, let me calm down. So I drew some facial features on these characters, even though they were bland and I'm a crag resident, finishing up with some pouches and beginning the coloring stage as my favorite part. Starting off with this really heavy blue. After that, I get into the metal rendering and the flesh rendering, which isn't really that much. So I really didn't think of a night house to associate this with. So as you can see, I get me a reference of the house that I made, which is House Terran. With having the house by its side and now it representing like a certain faction, I'm able to get the colors down much better, kind of get these designs across, even though I totally did not like that one. So I just stick with this, this alternating pattern. I will say though that this first design here is really one of my favorites. I really do enjoy the overall look it gives. And before I finish it up, I added another pauldron to it, kind of to show that it's still like Imperium, because they always have like this type of pauldron. And while that, I began working on the second guy, which is just the same thing. If you don't see it under the pouches, there is the very popular House Terran White Stallion, or the White Horse, which is really integral, and I feel like it would definitely fit on like their tabard. Being the Slaaneshi corrupted glutton that I am, I decided to make another one just to further encapsulate the idea of this man-at-armed guardsman, because all that range and stuff, it wouldn't be very knightly if there was a man-at-arms type. To emphasize the frontlineness of this character,
What?
I decided to give him a helmet with a visor, and I also gave him like a little beard to kind of show that he's more experienced, and like, put him in the front line to know that like the old heads got it. There's kind of a little bit of some visual storytelling there. That was not much. Last but not least, I did like to put the crest on the shield, and we're finished. Here is the finished product. I'm very thankful that you guys stayed and watched this video. This is kind of sort of my debut into YouTube to see if this will work. And thank you guys for watching. Take care.